dish, and thank you so much for joining me for another edition of the Foundation Files. This is my foundation review series where I give you my full review and rating using my 5-category rating system that I've scientifically developed through extensive research and focus groups. Totally not true. And show you a demo of myself applying it to my face up close so you can really see what it looks like and how it works, at least as much as you possibly can through the camera and the computer. These are not first impression reviews. I have worn the foundation for a minimum of 3 days, all day, and tried it out different ways before I come to you with my review and my demo. So today I am going to talk about the Dolce & Gabbana, the foundation, Perfect Luminous Liquid Foundation. So the Dolce & Gabbana Perfect Luminous, let's call it the Perfect Luminous Foundation, costs $60 for 1 ounce. That is on the high end of the luxury foundation spectrum. So to compare, the new Chanel Perfect Lumiere Velvet Foundation is $45 for 1 ounce. The Dior Skin Nude Foundation is $49 for 1 ounce, and here this one is $60. So you're paying a pretty penny and you want it to be fantastic. So there are 2 things about this foundation that I found absolutely remarkable and amazing, and that I think make it really worth checking out if this sounds like it's your cup of tea. So the first one is that it gives you an incredibly beautiful luminous glow. There is no mistaking it, okay? I have determined that I can get by with 1 pump of this foundation and it pretty much takes care of things all over my face, and I am glowing. I am like, it's like I'm walking around with a nice bright candle to create my own little halo of candlelight glow. You'll see it. Now, you will not see glitter. There's no shimmer. There's nothing like that. Like a setting powder, you know, something like the meteorites or the ambient lighting powders, some of those give you a bit of a sheen. It's not a shimmery sheen. It's kind of hard to explain. I've never used anything like this. It gives me this just luminosity, this ethereal luminosity, and it's quite unmistakable, especially in sunlight. The other remarkable thing about the Dolce & Gabbana Luminous Foundation, and this is not mentioned anywhere in, you know, the promotional language, is that I find it doesn't settle into fine lines or pores at all. And as far as pores are concerned, I feel that it really does a nice job of obscuring them and just smoothing them out and making your skin just look smoother in texture and more perfected. If you put concealer over it, well, if I put concealer over it, which I have done and which I did today, the concealer might kind of sink into those fine lines, you know, and then you have to, you know, pat it out and do what you do with concealer. But with just the foundation, it does not sink into lines, or at least in the most minimal fashion. It doesn't sink into these smile lines. It doesn't sink into my forehead lines. Okay, now I'm going to go right into the demo, and because I did not mention it, I am in the shade Bronze 144. Here's the box, by the way. It's a beautiful luxury foundation. This is a glass bottle, beautiful lid, a pump. It's so elegant, and you know what you would expect for $60. Also, there are 18 shades in this range. The Sephora website only carries 15, but there are 18 shades, and they come in different undertones. They have rose undertones, they have some that are neutral, and some that are golden. Now, it's not explicitly explained how you should pick your shade. I had to do a lot of research and reading blogs and watching videos to figure out what my shade was probably going to be. But it is a nice shade range with different undertones, and I think a lot of people will be able to find a match. Okay, demo time. Here goes. So I'm going to take my foundation and I'm going to use 1 pump, which is what I've been doing, and it seems to be enough. So there's the foundation, and as you can see, it is a really light, fluid, you know, I would call it a more watery textured foundation. You can see how it ran down my hand. So I'm just going to dot it around, kind of, you know, focusing on the inner part of my face, the center of my face, not the inner part, but this center where I have all these freckles that I think you can now finally see on the camera because I'm close enough. So that's it. I put everything that was on my hand on my face, and now I'm just going to start to spread it. I tried this with a brush, and it works fine. I've really been enjoying using a foundation brush lately, but just the watery texture of this foundation makes me want to use my fingers, because I don't want, it seems like it would get kind of absorbed into the brush more easily, and I don't want to lose any of it, chiefly because it's really expensive. And I can't guarantee that, you know, a brush would absorb a ton of foundation. I don't know if that's a foolish idea, but that's how I feel. Okay, it looks good, and as you saw, I put it right up under my eyes. That's what I tend to do with foundation, because I think it goes a long way into evening out all the discoloration and redness down there, at least for me. And I did that, and I worked it in really well around my nose where I have larger pores, but take a look. It really looks good around those pores. That's the thing, like I said, it's so remarkable about this foundation that it doesn't, you know, cling around the pores, it doesn't sink into them so much, it just kind of smooths them out. So, okay, now let's get on to the rating system, and after that I will tell you something surprising that you might not have guessed. But first, the rating system. Okay, so the first category, and I give these foundations a rating out of 5 stars, so in 5 different categories. The first category is coverage. Does it provide the promised coverage? Yes, this is a 5. They promised sheer or light to medium coverage. I totally agree with that. I think you can get up to medium, but you can also keep a really nice sheer look if that's what you want. And when you do layer another layer on top to get your medium coverage, it works beautifully. I don't think it really alters the look in any way that I found. The next category is texture, or how it feels when you're wearing it on your face. I'm going to give this a 5. It has a light to non-existent feel, which I think is fabulous. But I don't think I stated strongly enough at the first part. If you have oily skin, I don't think this is quite going to work. I'm just going to flat out just say this is probably not the one for you. I think it's so moisturizing and comfortable that if you have oil that breaks through really easily, that foundation is just going to disappear on you, and we don't want that to happen, not at this price point. But still, the texture is a 5 if it's the right match for your skin type. Okay, the next category is longevity, or does it last an appropriate amount of time? Okay, this does not promise to be long wearing, but like I said, I think it lasts less than average. It's not the most long-lasting foundation. I think you could make it much more long-lasting with a primer. You can set it, although if you get too aggressive with setting it with mattifying powders, then you might lose that luminosity. I don't own a strictly mattifying powder because I'm so dry, so I didn't test that, but you know, I tested it with the ambient lighting powder and with loose translucent powder, and those didn't do anything extraordinary to prolong the wear time. So if you do want to prolong the wear time, I think a primer is needed, and that is the reason for my rating. Okay, and I am reading off my computer in case you're curious about this over here. Okay, the next category is packaging. I gave the packaging a 5. If you watched my last review of the Givenchy foundation in this series, I gave that a 4.5 because I just didn't like the hard edges, the sharp corners of that bottle, and I don't think I said that in the review. I just said it was kind of a bulky, heavy glass bottle. This one, you know, of course it's going to be glass, of course it's going to be luxury. It does have the pump, we all love that. So this one's a 5 because I like the soft corners. That's just me, I guess. I can't be completely objective here. Okay. Price, next category, the final category, price. Or is it worth the money? Is it a good value for the price? Alright. I talked about how this foundation is remarkable and unique and very beautiful, but I think it's a 4 because compared to those other high-end foundations that I mentioned, by Chanel, by Dior, this is at the top. This is topping out at $60. This stuff is expensive. So what's up with that? You know, those other foundations have their own merits as well, and you know, they're charging more than $10 less. So I don't know that the Dolce & Gabbana is so good as to warrant a $60 price point, but it is very good. And if it's the right foundation for you, you're going to be very, very happy with it. But my rating stands at 4. Okay, finally, time. I promised a little bit of a surprise here, and well, this wasn't a flat-out rave review, but for all the raving I did, this is not my match made in heaven. I really wanted it to be. I bought this thinking that it was gonna be the one, provided that the color worked. But I bought this wanting this to be my new baby. It sounded like it was just right up my street. It really, really did, with my dry skin, and I love a dewy finish, and I love the luminosity. But that was my stumbling block at the end of the day. I felt like this foundation made me so glowy and so luminous. It was like, it made me a little uncomfortable. I've got to be honest. And as I said, I like a dewy finish or a natural finish. Here is what I think. I think this foundation would be amazing for special occasions, for night, for a romantic dinner, for a sexy soiree, for a cocktail party, for an event, in the evening. I think it would be beautiful in candlelight. In the sunshine, I felt a little bit glowy, and it's not that I looked wet and shiny. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. But as I said at the very beginning, this foundation is so remarkable and the formula is so great that if it sounds like it might be for you, it merits a look, because it is a really cool foundation, but it's just not the one for me. And at this price point, it needs to be the one. It needs to be, you know, soulmate status, at least soulmates for now. So that wraps up this Foundation Files, my review of the Dolce & Gabbana Luminous Fluid Foundation. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've tried this stuff. I don't want to discourage you from trying it. It's really, really cool stuff. And it would be so beautiful. There's no sunscreen in it either. So I think a lot of you might enjoy it, but you know, it's specific, it's unique. So check it out, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate your time, and have a wonderful day.